Hi guys, I am Patty Elhoff, the author of Upcycle with Decoupage, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Scobie Books. And today I'd like to show you how we're going to make this very pretty decorative plate. And here are the supplies you'll need. You'll want to find some nice wrapping paper. These are decoupage scissors. You want a glass plate, so you'll want a stand. You'll want some paper towels, decoupage glue. Going to need a credit card or an old card of some type, some sponge brushes, a nail file, dish of water, shallow plate of water. I'm using polyacrylic. Anything you want can be used to seal this. Something called glimmer mist. I'm using some Martha Stewart coarse glitter, and we're going to be using a paint marker. But the first thing we'll want to do is to make some of these lovely background papers. I'm taking a paper towel, the shallow bowl of water, which is a little cloudy now, and what I'm going to do is dip my sponge brush in the decoupage glue, and I'm going to blot it down. This is a pretty sturdy paper towel. Some of them might come apart when you do this, so you want to make sure you're using one of the stronger ones. Then I took the glimmer mist and sprayed it in different areas. I'm putting it in the warming drawer on high to let it dry. Perhaps while these are drying, it's a good time to cut out your images from your wrapping paper. And this is what reverse decoupage means. I'm trying to get that glare off of there for you. All of your work is going to be done on the back facing forward. First, do a dry run. See where you would like your images to go on your plate. And what I'm going to do now is flip my plate over. And in order to make this paper a lot more pliable, I'm going to dip it in my shallow dish of water. Soaking wet, so I'm going to put it on the craft paper for a second just to let that absorb some of the water. And I'm going to take my decoupage glue and apply it right where I'm going to put this section of paper. This has a straight edge, so what I'm going to do is overlap the edge, turn it over. Here's what you see right now. But what we want to do is get some of this excess glue out. There's also some air bubbles that I can feel, which is why we're going to use the credit card. Just make sure you get these edges. The plate looks very messy right now. which is fine. I'm going to try to turn this over carefully so I don't touch my work. Here's how the front of it's looking right now. A little bit sloppy. And I'm going to put this aside to dry. But first, those edges that we had overlapping, I'm going to take the nail file while the paper is still pretty wet and pliable, and I'm just going to go around these edges and file them off. So I'm just going to put this in a very, very dry room and let it dry off. It normally takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Plate is dry. And now we're going to take these pieces of paper towel that we've glimmer misted, glittered, and torn up. And all I'm going to do is flip the plate over. I'm going to apply decoupage glue and make sure you're laying the paper the correct side down. And because this paper has lines in it, I'm going to keep those all going in one direction. So instead of going like this, and this, I'm going to keep it all in one direction. And I want to make sure I'm getting the glimmer mist / glitter side down. Got a clean, fresh brush here. And I'm going to cover those blank areas first and keep the paper moving in the same direction. Now I'm wetting the brush a tiny bit, just the tip of it. And I'm going to pat this down because it's textured paper. It's a little bit thicker. So I'll go all around and add the paper. As you're going over the areas where you're going to apply the paper towel, you're also applying another coat of decoupage glue over the work that you've just done, which will help to seal it and protect it. Make sure that your paper doesn't stick to the surface underneath your plate, because when you go to pull it up, it may tear and rip off the section that you just worked on. You might want to save this for a different project. And just apply strips of the plain old paper towel on here and use a little glimmer mist. You notice I'm patting it instead of going like this. I don't want to pull up any of the work we just did, so I'm going a little too heavy-handed here, as a matter of fact. Let me lighten that up a little bit. Now I'm going to add the glimmer mist over the whole back of the plate, just because I want to keep this consistent in case someone picks the plate up and looks at the back and goes, wow, what is this? How did you do this? I don't want them to see this big white patch. You can see it's laying a nice and consistent pattern, which I like. And I'm going to put this 15 minutes in the warming drawer, and then I'll come right back. Make sure all of your ends are down. By the way, I placed a ceramic oven-safe bowl underneath the dish, and the dish is face down so that all of your wet paper is safe, all of the decoupage is safe. And this way, if anything were to drip off, it won't pool under your plate, it'll just drip down. And even still, you don't want these loose edges to either get stuck on the glass when you lay this flat down or get stuck on possibly the aluminum foil and bake onto that and then tear away from your work. This was taking so long to dry that I put it in the convection oven at 175 and left it in there for about 20 minutes. It was just so thick and wet. I knew I'd be safe at that temperature, and it is now dry. And what I want to do is go around the edges now and remove all of these loose edges. Now that those edges are all sanded off, I'm going to take the polyacrylic that I've stirred up, and I'm going to use a chip brush as opposed to a sponge brush for this. I'm really going to saturate this paper. And this will not go in the oven. This is going to hand dry. This is going to air dry. And that shouldn't take too long, actually. I'll put it outside. It's a sunny, breezy day, so I'm going to put it in the direct sunlight. Probably inside a box so that nothing blows onto it. And I'll be right back. I'm going to take a bunched up paper towel and go underneath the plate because I can see that this is dripping. I put it on really heavy, and I just want to make sure none of it gets onto the front of the plate. Here is the front of our plate. I'm sorry, that light shining a little bit too much on it. And in order to finish up the edges a little bit, I took a few paint markers and just made a couple of marks with each one to see which one would best match it. I would say this color best matches the plate. And I'm just going to go around the whole end of it, the whole edge. This is a little hard to do on camera or through the camera. And I'm just going to keep getting the tip saturated and go around the whole edge with the paint marker. So here is the final image of our plate on its stand. So feel free to ask me any questions. I'm all too happy to answer. Hi to some of my nice new friends that I've made out there in YouTube land. I'll see you guys next week with another video. Thank you for subscribing. It really helps me out when you do that. Don't forget to visit my website if you need any tips or supplies. You can order right on through there. And that link is in the description section. See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.